welcome back to another video, guys. And in today's video, we're going to be going over a very good mechanic to learn, very underrated mechanic, and it is the ceiling shot. So I'm going to show you guys about two ways you can do a setup. You can just drive on the wall, as I'm doing here. You can just drive up and go to the ceiling, but don't forget that it is opposite. So when you're on the ceiling, your right is your left, and your left is your right. A lot of people will get that mixed up. Whenever I was trying to learn this, I was getting it mixed up every time. I couldn't go left or right. I'd always mess it up. So it's going to be something you're going to have to train yourself if you do it that way. But the way I'd recommend is jumping off and just boosting up and then slightly tilting your car backwards. That way it's so much more easier for you because you almost instantly fall off the ceiling. And like doing it this way, it's kind of like you don't understand it really. Like especially as a lower rank. It's easier for lower ranks to do this, but it's not that nice, right? So I would just practice the setup. I just practice driving to the wall and just trying to hit the ball. Well, not trying to hit the ball, just practice driving upside on the ceiling. Just practice driving on the ceiling first, because once you learn how to drive on the ceiling, then you're all good. It's a very difficult thing to master. When I was trying to do it, it was very difficult. I was messing up every day. I'd be like, okay, I need to go right. I'd turn right, and it's like I go left. I'm like, oh, I need to go left to go right. It's like Lightning McQueen and Doc Hudson. You need to go, in order to turn right, you need to go left, right? So it's remember that in case you want to, that helps you a lot more. Helps you remember a lot of things. So right now, just practice just hitting the ball, I guess. Just practice trying to get the ball at an angle. You don't want it to hit the ceiling, but just practice hitting the ball with enough power that it goes up almost to the ceiling, right? That's another thing to learn. When the setups I like to use is if I'm trying to go for something nice, I'd like to hit the ball, and let's say it's going towards the net. So I'd like to hit it, jump off, and go to the top of the ceiling. But if I'm trying to go for a double tap or something, I'm booming the ball. I'm still just going to drive up the ceiling and everything, and then that's the way I like to use both the setups too, utilize them. It's good to learn them both because then you have them both in your arsenal. But it's like I'm saying, a ceiling shot is very underrated because it's a very good mechanic for everything. You mess up, you have a way to score. You could hit everything with the ceiling shot. It's that last flip, because you fall off the ceiling. You don't jump off the ceiling, you just fall. All right, so you let your car fall off the ceiling. If you jump off the ceiling, you lose that flip, but that flip is so important because people don't expect it. Especially in any rank, it's really oh, he's got a flip still. So it's you could put this ball anywhere you want it. Top left, top right. Just as long as you score a goal, that's a good thing. So for the most part, you just need to practice just driving on the ceiling, or at least getting the setup down. Just drive and just try to hit the ball so that way it don't hit the ceiling. That's what you're mainly going for. Just practice. That's all I'm saying. Just practice the setup first. You got to realize that you kind of want to hit the ball almost half a hexagon up or a full hexagon up, at least somewhere around there. And it's you don't really want to hit it with too much power because you're not technically going to hit it straight up in the air. You're going to hit it more at an angle. So it's you're more hitting it with the side, the front side of your car though. It's not necessarily the front of your car, but it's more of a side of your car, right? It's if you're watching, you can tell the way I'm hitting it. It's more with the left or right tire. Mainly the left tire because I always like to go up on the left side, but it's good to practice both ways so that way you actually learn how to do it. Because for me, I messed up and I didn't do that. I'm stuck to the left side. And you can see here, I'm practicing just driving and jumping off and going to the top of the ceiling and making sure 4 wheels touch. You don't need to really do anything fancy. That's really it. You can add the air roll and stuff all the freestylers do. You can do all that, but you don't necessarily need it. It's just extra. If you just want to do the basics, boom, jump off and go to the ceiling. And if you're having trouble getting all 4 wheels stuck, slam your car to the ceiling. You will bounce off the ceiling fast as can be. You can see, I'm off the ceiling as fast as anybody else. And it's I'd have a free goal there. Right? It's very good because the ceiling shot's so underrated, I think, in my mind. You can, get anybody with this shot. You'll see it, in RLCS, pros will utilize the ceiling shot a lot. Because it's very difficult to defend. It's a very good mechanic for anybody. like you could see a fake with it, and then boom, you hit a flip. Or it's like no one's expecting the flip. Like the last little flip is all dictated by you. You dictate it, not the person who's like there. Like you have the opportunity to not even use it and still score, and they still get confused with it. Right? It's very like good for those reasons, I think, in my mind. Like it's very underrated. I think like a lot of people don't speak on it. It's a very good mechanic to utilize. This is one of my favorite mechanics to use in the game. Like, it's flashy, but not too flashy, so you don't always take a risk with it, though. That's the thing. It's a very good mechanic, but you don't really necessarily risk too much stuff, because it's not like an air dribble and you mess up, right, and then you sold yourself. This is completely different than that. It's very good to utilize a ceiling shot. Like, as soon as you master the ceiling shot, like, the next thing that's coming is, like, car control, like, aerial car control. And, like, for the most part, it's very easier without the ball. Like, an air dribble does take time and practice. This doesn't necessarily take too much time to practice. It's really just get there, hit the ball. It's like, yes, you will sooner or later add more stuff to it. Like you can hit a musty flick or something like that, right? You try to do a pogo with it. You can do anything with it. That's why this mechanic's actually very good, is because it's not like, oh, you could technically quote unquote fail, but you necessarily have never failed, because this mechanic allows you to do so much with it. Like, especially, like, some people like to do it in the corners and stuff, and, like, that lines you up for, like, a double tap or something. Like, it's actually, like, an insane mechanic to use. You can utilize it anytime the ball's, like, on the ceiling, close to the ceiling. Get a ceiling shot in. Like, you have a nice little double tap or something, right? It's easy to utilize. And then, like, let's say you messed up the ceiling shot, boom, ground pinch. I'm telling you, it's such an underutilized mechanic, and it's like a lot of people just don't necessarily talk about it enough. Like, you could have ground pinches, you could have all this stuff, and it's like it all starts with the ceiling shot. Learning how to do a ceiling shot will make your gameplay 10 times better. Like, you're gonna be a threat. Like, an air dribble does take time to practice. You got to get the carrying down. This, I think, is a little bit easier to learn than an air dribble, and it helps you out a lot. Like, I love this mechanic because it looks kind of nice. Like, it's a great mechanic to use, right? It's going to make you look nice at scoring. It's going to be like, ooh, he can hit a ceiling shot? That's pretty nice. Like, yes, a lot of people are like, oh, only low ranks can hit ceiling shots. Every rank can hit a ceiling shot. If you can, you're good at the game. Like, learn how to do this, and then you'll be like you'll improve a lot more. Like, I think this mechanic is something that a lot of people haven't got to learn. I'm showing you guys some, like, shots you can hit with it. That's why I switched to the Finnick. Like, you could hit a musty flick easy. Like, you could hit a lot of stuff with the ceiling shot. It's very, very utilizable. Like, you don't even need to do anything fancy. You could pass. You could pass with the ceiling shot. That's how good it is. It doesn't necessarily need to be just a scoring mechanic. You see a teammate or something, and boom, you pass the ball to him. Like, or you could just fake it out and let your teammate from below hit the ball, because they're more focused on you trying to score a ceiling shot than they are your teammate. They're like, oh, this dude thinks he's good. You miss it, your teammate's there, boom, hits it, right? Like, you just got to, like, play it with it. It's a very good mechanic to use. Like, you'll see me hit some ground pinches here or something like, oh, I did it wrong, right? Boom. If you hit it a little too hard against the ceiling, but let's say it's not that, like, bad, like, not where it's, like, boom, and goes straight down, right? Then you want to just use the ground pinch. Or you could barely hit it up, and, like, let's say you, like, messed up, and the ball was, like, just hanging there, right? Like, you hit it terribly. You go for a ground pinch. Like, boom, look, ground pinch. It's a very good mechanic. I think people need to learn how to use this mechanic. And if you learn it, it makes your gameplay a lot better. You got something nice you can use that's not too unforgiving. An air dribble, yeah, it's very good to learn. I'd learn that too, but I recommend a ceiling shot more. And if you guys like my tutorial, please check out somebody else that will teach you more. I appreciate you guys for watching. Peace.